Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guest this week is the Playful Warrior. Her name is Latta, or Latta. Sounds like your Care Bear name, which is awesome. And you can find her at The Playful Warrior on Instagram or theplayfulwarrior.com. That's not very hard to remember either. We got some special offers for you we'll talk about here in a minute. But if you would like to figure out how to be a more playful human and rediscover the power of play, get rid of all the stress and burnout and have some more fun, you are in the right spot. We'll be talking about that. And you can find more information at playfulhumans.com. Here we go. All right, Kara, we like to start with the joke of the week. The joke of the week is brought to you by Armageddon. I'm still not sure what that word means, but I'm pretty sure it's not the end of the world. Armageddon. All right. Here's my joke of the week. How do you say grace before eating a salad?
Ooh, grace before eating a salad. I have no idea, but I'm so curious.
Let us pray.
Oh, so good. Yes, I love that. So good.
Do you have a joke for us?
I do, actually. So what do you call a dental x-ray?
I have no idea.
Toothpicks.
Toothpicks. Nice.
Yes.
My dentist has lots of toothpicks of my mouth. All right. Enough playing around. No, not enough playing around. Let's talk about why you picked the Playful Warrior as your brand and what that means to you.
Yeah, so it actually started with a darker time for me. I previously worked in the corporate world for over 10 years, was very familiar with like hustling and burnout that had happened to me before. I was in this space where I wasn't fulfilled. I was really lost and stuck and was essentially just doing what I needed to do to survive. I live in Toronto. It's a very expensive city. And so I just felt so confused about my life. And then I had what I like to call a dark night of the soul, or this spiritual crisis, where my life just started imploding in every area of my life. I was like going to therapy.
Laugh, but
no, I know.
I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I can laugh about it now. But I was going to therapy. I was uncovering childhood trauma. I had a nasty cockroach infestation for 5 months. No bueno. I had like health issues as well with epilepsy. I had a relationship end. And then I was in this job where I just like knew it wasn't it. And essentially it really just everything burned to the ground so I could create a new life. And then COVID came. I lost that job immediately. And as scared as I was financially, there was this part in my soul that was so relieved. I was so happy and like peaceful. And I'm like, what the heck? I just lost my job. But it was really exciting. And so speaking of the therapy I'd been doing, it had been really heavy, like heavy healing, processing childhood trauma. And my therapist had suggested, you could try playing to connect with your inner child. And I was like, I love that idea for me. Like I love dancing and I love doing things, but I realized that all the play I had been doing had been very much about perfectionism, about things looking a certain way, right? Like competitive dance was very much like, this is how it looks. It needs to look this way or it's not good. So there's always like pressure on the play I was doing. And so I wanted to start connecting to like uninhibited play. But, I couldn't actually find like a lot of resources around that for adults. I was able to find books though, like I'm sure Play by Stuart Brown, which is amazing. And I started getting into the science behind play. I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, I've been missing out on so much, and got really excited. And then for me, I went on this personal journey because I had lost my job. I had time of connecting to little me every day and trying something new, trying something playful, really trying to connect to that uninhibited free play. And I just noticed so many shifts in my life. So much was happening. I felt healthier. I felt so creative. Suddenly I was having business ideas and I was like, oh my goodness, play is so freaking powerful. I need to bring this to people. I'm so excited. I feel like I've personally had so many shifts. I want to bring these to other people. At the same time though, I did have mindset blocks. I was filled with self-doubt and just like shame and all this stuff. I was like, everyone knew me as this like really professional person in the corporate world. I mean, it was me just shape shifting and people pleasing, doing what I needed to do. So I was really scared, and that was holding me back, like what people would think. And so I was like, I need to remove this. I don't want to care what people think. So I did a lot of mindset work. I actually got certified in hypnotherapy and NLP. And once I did that, I started reprogramming my subconscious mind. I became so confident and so ready to share play with the world. And the Playful Warrior really came to me from this idea that, you know, we all go on this warrior journey full of challenges and hardships, you know, but the warrior in me like finally realized that I need playfulness to actually heal and to live a whole life. Playfulness is a part of all of us, right? We come into the world so curious and playful and excited and vulnerable and spontaneous. So for me to heal, play was like the missing puzzle piece that actually became like the cornerstone of my healing. And that was really where the Playful Warrior came on. And then I created this beautiful one-on-one coaching program that had half play and half mindset, totally based on my journey to really help people connect to play, heal perfectionism, heal self-doubt, so that they can really live this life that lights them up from the inside out, where they create from a place of joy as opposed to this place of needing approval, because that was my experience always.
Yeah, I don't think I have the perfectionism gene. Certainly my wife and my mother would tell you that, since they've had to live with me for, you know, decades of my life. But I do have that need for approval and, you know, putting on that face and professionalism. And I think my dad kind of drilled that into me, where he was a professional salesperson, and it's like, don't give anybody any reason to not buy from you, you know, like wear a suit, don't get any tattoos, like be, you know, buttoned up. And he was still playful, but you could tell there was definitely a work persona and a professionalism expected there. And so I relate to that a lot. The rest of the story almost exactly like mine. And I love that you balance the mindfulness with play too, because I found that they are both critical for different reasons, which I don't think people understand. I think a lot of people go to mindfulness and meditation to relieve the stress, and that's not really what it does. For me, anyway, it gets me back to zero or gets me centered, but it doesn't get me all the way to positive. Like if I'm, you know, trying to eliminate bad thoughts, I don't really generate that joy and euphoria and like, you know, a connection with other people by meditating. Like that's something different. But I have also found that if you just play, you'll end up with these really high highs and then really low lows, and you need something to help bring you back to center so that you don't get stuck in either one for very long. So I think for me, that's a really cool insight that we haven't talked about before on the podcast.
Yeah, I think play and mindset in combination is so, so powerful. And for me, it was really about like identity work, future self work, knowing that, okay, my present self may be perfectionistic, people pleasing, really, really dependent on this external validation and codependent. But my future self, she is doing her thing. She is playful. She's expressing herself regardless of how she is received. And so it was like, okay, how do I become that future self? So it's by doing identity work, reprogramming my subconscious, creating new neural pathways around like confidence and, you know, eliminating that self-doubt, grounding into the present moment, but also learning to play. Like that was such a big part of it as well. So I always say to people, like, you know, I'm sure some people here listening are already super playful, which is amazing. Some people may not be. So we can always shift our identity, right? Like we can always create a new reality for ourselves. And that was really what I did. And I now love to share that with other people. But like you said, we can't just focus on one aspect. I mean, obviously playing is amazing either way, but if we really want to get like these long lasting, powerful shifts, I think incorporating both are so important.
And so a sidebar question, what kind of dance did you do? You skipped over it. What's your favorite dance?
Yeah. So I did hip hop dancing for 10 years, actually.
Nice.
And then so it was super fun. And then I did Latin dancing in my 20s. I started when I was traveling around. I traveled a lot in South America. And so I love like salsa and bachata and merengue, samba, kizomba. I did a lot of dancing. And so the Latin dancing was great though, because it wasn't as perfectionistic. I didn't compete in it. was kind of just going to the clubs and like having a fun time and learning there. So that was definitely a form of play for me. And it was like, I loved hip hop dancing and I still do. And I think it's great to, push your body and see what you can do. But when I took a step back, I really realized that, okay, it was really tied to the outcome though, and the validation I was getting from other people. I wanted to learn to just be in that moment and like create playfully, no matter what it looks like. And I actually had, so when I kind of started exploring play a little bit unconsciously a few years ago, I was in this intergenerational dance group, and this was age 9 to 93. And this was like, you did not have to be a dancer at all. So we all came together. Yeah, it was so amazing. And actually for our first practice, we were doing a warm up and they all told us, okay, go around the gym, you're in a gym, and dance like a horse. And I was so uncomfortable. Like I was like, because I wasn't used to just like dancing like an animal. And then I looked around and I saw these women in their 60s, 70s, 80s. They were just galloping around, having the best time, laughing. And I'm like, I want to be that. Like, why am I taking life so seriously?
I want to be that.
Right? I was just taking dance like so seriously, or just doing things that were like kind of approved by the media, I guess. Like I just wanted to be so free. And so like I tried a little bit, it was uncomfortable. But anyways, I'm at a point now where I dance like an animal, like almost every day. I freaking love it. It's so much fun. But it was just like, I could just see how they were so liberated by play. And I really realized like, oh, I'm not as playful as I thought I was.
Yeah, I think that's always been something interesting for me that I've noticed from even a very young age, right? Is that age seems to have something to do with it. That when you're 0 to about 13, you are who you are. You're naturally playful and you have all these gifts. Then you start worrying about what other people think and the opposite sex and getting a job and pleasing other people and getting good grades and all that stuff. And then it takes like another 40 years to unwind that. But by the time people get to like 60, 65, or maybe it's retirement and they don't care anymore, like I love when you meet old people that just have like run out of shits to give or whatever, and they are like just themselves, and it is so awesome. They're my favorite human beings on the planet, because you're just like, you have all of this wisdom and you know that you could be serious, but you have deliberately like chosen to be yourself. I think that's like just so cool.
It's my favorite. I love hanging out with seniors. Yeah, they have so much wisdom. There's this quote from Radha Agrawal, and she talks about how, because obviously in the media too, we have a lot of harmful messages about aging, like especially women like learn to hate their great hairs or wrinkles or sunspots or any of these things. But she frames it as, seniors are masters of life. Like you've just lived and you're like learning to master life. And like, that's so, so empowering. So I love seeing people like rock their gray hair, or even seniors who like dye their hair and are just like living it up.
Like
it's
purple or whatever. And yeah,
it's so inspiring. So honestly, I would say like some of my favorite humans are like in their 80s and they're just so inspiring. And so that's definitely like what I strive to be.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome. I wanted to circle back to the warrior part, because that is interesting to me too, because one of the things that I've discovered in my own personal journey is that there are these like ironic things that people feel like can't go together, like playful and warrior, or like play being serious or meaningful and stuff. So I think a lot of people think play is frivolous, or I can't do that because it's silly, or that people will think less of me. But the opposite is actually true, that for me, play is more serious than the serious part. And the more you become yourself, the more people are attracted to you, because we don't need people who are like everybody else. If you're just a great, boring robot walking around, nobody pays attention to that and nobody cares. And I don't know, there might be more haters if you're getting more attention, but I don't even know that that's true, because to me, there's kind of a certain amount of percentage of people that are not going to like whatever you do anyway. So you might as well attract the fun people that get the joke and want to play with you by, being yourself and having fun. How do you balance the warrior serious part and I guess getting out of the frivolousness, but still leaning into it at the same time?
Yeah. So I have like a few audiences. Like I do like, inner child healing and play with one-on-one. And then I also do like corporations.
Mm,
I would say like when I work with corporations, it's like really focused on the science behind play. Like I really have to educate them around that so they know it's not frivolous for sure. Often when I work with people one-on-one, they understand more why play is so important. And that's why they kind of want to invest in it. But yeah, I would say like really, yeah, like focusing on why it's so important and the messaging behind it so people understand. Also incorporating it in things that are more serious, like problem solving,
mm,
playfully solving problems or, resolving conflicts in relationship with play is so, so powerful. And it's just like such a powerful connector between people as well. And it's actually something that's really vulnerable to do is show that side of yourself. It can take a lot of courage as well. You're just like putting yourself out there, which is like such a beautiful thing. And I think, yeah, like a lot of time what stops people too is like they've been shamed out of play, right? Like because of the messaging, as you
mhm.
talked about, that we got. So they actually have so much shame inside them because they've been taught to stray away from their unique self expression. So it's terrifying to just like be who you are or explore that. And often some of the most serious people you met have really just been shamed out of play as a kid. So I also really remember that and just like have so much compassion for people because, it's their conditioning and they could just be running on autopilot, not really realizing that. And to your point, also, how there's always going to be rejection. I think that was something that always stopped me. But one thing that really helped me was like knowing that if you are being authentic, you are going to get rejection, right? There's going to be people who are like so excited about what you're doing, but there's also going to be people who are rejected, right? They're probably triggered by it, or maybe they themselves were shamed out of play. So it's like every time I get like an unfollow or an unsubscribe, I know I'm doing something right because I'm being so authentic. And so that's really helped
Yeah.
as well. Um, but yeah, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent now because I'm getting excited.
I love all of it. It's hard for me to like choose a follow-up question because I agree with all of it, but I think there is something interesting to the people that have been serious because that's the people that I want to inspire is the ones that want to be more playful and they feel like it's stuck, or maybe they even just forgot that they were that much fun and they're like now they're a serious an adult, they're a CEO or something, and they're like, gosh, I have to be serious all the time. But one of my other favorite moments is, have you ever seen somebody that like looks super buttoned up and then like they get drunk at a wedding or something and you're like, oh my gosh, they are the most fun person in the room. Why are they not like that all the time? And I think you triggered that memory for me, which is so great because I love that moment. I love that moment where you're like, oh, this person is a human being. They're playful and fun. And like, I've never seen them in that light before. And I think leaders, especially, miss that. They forget that, yeah, people want to know there's not a maniac in charge of the company, but they also want to know that you're a human being and not just this like, ruthless dictator, right? That you connect with people and you can have fun and not take things so seriously. And so those are some of my favorite moments. Do you have any advice for people maybe that have been kind of brainwashed into being too serious so they forget that they can also, crack a joke and it won't cost the company, any money or anything?
Yeah, I feel like because I mean, that was kind of my journey, like in the sense that with some people professionally, like the one comment I would get would be like, "Oh, you're always so professional," as if this is like an amazing compliment. It like has nothing to do with my personality. But then with my friends at work, maybe I would be like more kind of relaxed and like tell jokes and stuff like that. But the way I kind of pivoted, I would say, would be to start playing on my own. Like before I was really ready to like start doing it in front of other people. I would start doing things like kind of dancing like a horse or like a butterfly or a bird around my place. And it felt super silly. The big thing for me, though, was connecting to little Kara, like getting photos of me as a kid. And
Oh
as a
yeah.
kid, I was so playful. Like I was jumping up the walls, dancing. Like every time it was time to eat, I would shriek. Anytime there was like a neighbor coming over, I'd go dance outside. I was so excited. Like I was so full of life, right? But then life taught me to suppress that version of me, right? I be like, big girls don't do that. I heard that message all the time. And so, I really suppressed my self expression. So, in terms of getting it back, I would look at images and I actually have them around my place too of like my inner child of little me And it's like, I want to show up for her because I abandoned her for so long, right? I abandoned my unique self-expression, and it's time to return to that. So for people who maybe have photos of them, I would say use photos. Sometimes though, that can actually, I've had clients who says that makes them feel sad. So if that makes you feel sad, then I would just say put little like post-it notes around reminding you to play, whatever feels good for you. But
I
in
love
me,
like
like,
toys and other reminders that have, positive
yeah,
memories and brings you joy and stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it was like returning to that, trying it on my own a little, knowing I was doing it for like little me, like thinking, how would I talk to a young girl? Like if I had just created something, because so often we're so hard on ourselves or we judge ourselves for what we create. But what if like you at 5 years old made that? Like, what would you say to her? Like that's kind of the work I do. So
I love all of that. So fun. I have a bunch of good questions for you here, but I wanted to hit one more um, about your redesigning. We kind of skipped over in your opening part. You talked about that you can kind of rearrange the Lego blocks of your life, that just because you have picked these things the first time through doesn't mean you have to stick with them. And I think a lot of people struggle with that part of it too, is that, well, I went to school for a long time to be a lawyer, or I, have invested a lot in this part of my personality, and to let that go feels like it shouldn't work or shouldn't be okay or allowed, but it totally is, right? And I think play is very similar in that way, where it's like, it feels like playing and finding joy in my life shouldn't be allowed, that I should have to work hard to survive, but it totally is. And I think both of those go together, that like once we can figure out how to let go of things and reorganize and restructure, even our identity, which is really hard. I think if you can do that work, unlimited potential and opportunities open up for you, right?
yeah, and I had so many of those limiting beliefs I learned. Like, yeah, you can only make money in corporate. Like, you have to hustle to have success. Like, so many money stories, like all these things. And yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go play. And how am I going to make money this way? But I truly feel that because I was following a passion, like I was so in alignment now. And I was just like so open now through play, like, obviously imagination, like using your imagination to create new stories and like sparking your creativity. And there was just like so many like beautiful goodies that came through that. But yeah, like I definitely say like every day, as opposed to getting so overwhelmed about, oh my gosh, how am I going to create this new identity? It's like every day, create like a small daily promise of something you're going to do. What would your future self do in this situation? Do that, and like slowly, day by day, you'll start getting, more comfortable. And a really concrete example is, for example, as a kid, I was a public speaker, but I was like bullied for that and shamed for that. So I stopped speaking. And in grade 8, I was like, I purposely sabotaged myself. And I was like, I'm never speaking again. This is done. Because again, I was so dependent on what people thought of me. And so then I just like stopped speaking. And then I realized that, you know what, I think I want to speak again last year. And the way I did that was, first of all, I just started like writing speeches, like little things, saying them out loud. Then I started talking in the mirror. And then I would start filming myself before I showed anyone. And it was like those little steps, right? And it was like I was still getting closer to the identity of speaker with each step. And then it was like, okay, I'm finally ready to show up on my Instagram story and just start talking. Okay, I'm ready to post a video on Instagram. Okay, I think I'm ready to like reach out to someone. So it was like just little baby steps, like turtle steps, getting closer to your dream.
Yeah, I hate bullies, and I know they have their own issues and stuff now as an adult, but the fact that, somebody else, again, that doesn't get the joke, that doesn't understand themselves and their impact on the world, shapes your personality for the rest of your life, is one of the unfortunate loopholes of being a human, for sure. But let's lighten the mood. Tell me about breakfast.
I am obsessed with breakfast. Breakfast is my favorite meal. I literally go to bed excited about breakfast, and I think about it. And yeah, I'm just a breakfast gal. Like I could eat it all day, every day, at night, for dinner. It's a gift.
What's your go-to?
I would say scrambled eggs with bacon, home fries would be like a go-to, but I love like an omelet every now and again, like a Western omelet, a meat lover's omelet, spice it up. Eggs Benny is great too. Honestly, just like breakfast eggs, very Muy importante. I love it. I love it.
I thought you were going to say avocado toast with your background, but we'll save that one for later.
Yeah.
That's too healthy for breakfast for me. I love breakfast. Breakfast for dinner was one of my favorite things as a kid. Again, it was one of those like breaking the rules. You're like, this should not be allowed, but it is awesome. And why is it not allowed? Like we should just be doing this all the time. Why are we not having pancakes for dinner every day?
I do that all the time now. Totally. Yeah, that is like the lifestyle I live. It is so good.
And tell me your Bradley Cooper story.
Yeah, so this was a fun work experience. So in 2012, I did a gig as a publicist in Toronto for the International Film Festival we have here annually, and it was with Alliance Films. And I had never done publicity. I had done like a PR internship before. But this is the thing, it's like, I am always the person who will be like, get out of your comfort zone, just apply. You never know what will happen.
Me too.
So I applied. It was like a volunteer role. Didn't expect a lot, but they were like, yep, we were bringing on as a publicist. And my first day I had someone, I didn't know who it was. But they like called me over and they were like, you did a really good job today. Tomorrow we're putting you on with Bradley Cooper. And I was just going to be his personal publicist for the day. So I picked him up at a hotel, the Park Hyatt in Toronto. And it was so beautiful. Like, and actually, I will say though, I was really nervous because he had just been named Sexiest Man Alive. And I was nervous because I was like, what if he's an asshole? Like, what if he's really cocky or like, it's not a good time? Like, sure, visually he's like beautiful, but that could make my job maybe hard if like he's just not a nice person. But he like came, and I always, you always go like 45 minutes early just in case, they come early or they need something. He came down half an hour early and I was just like waiting. And I just remember him walking to me and it felt like slow motion, just like his hair was moving. It was like beautiful and like way better looking in person. And he was the nicest guy. And like, I was just so impressed. He spoke a bit of French. And it was just like, so nice. It was honestly like one of the highlights of my life. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry, my friends, because he had some friends who were like, we're going to have to wait for them. Is it okay if I like stand with you? And I was like, yes, Bradley, it is okay.
Yeah, it's okay if we wait here together. That's so funny. Yeah, I had a moment like that. Two quick things that come to mind. One is when I met Billy Idol, he walked around the corner and you could see like the spiky white hair and the black leather jacket. And you're like, whoa, that's a rock star. Like that is Billy Idol right there. No question. And it was so weird to see somebody that you've only seen on, television and two-dimensional, like live in person. And the other one was I had a very similar experience when I was in radio. I got to drive REO Speedwagon around for the day, and they I picked them up at the airport. We went to the radio station for some publicity. Then they went out to the Royal Stadium to sing the national anthem. And then they had a concert that night. And I was driving around with them all day and they were just awesome. They were so cool, just hanging out, like didn't need anything. They gave me their cell phone numbers and we just had a great time. It was so fun. So awesome. I love it when you meet cool people that are just comfortable being themselves. That's the best.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. So cool.
All right. You want to play a game?
Yeah, let's do it.
It would be ironic if you were the first one to say no. All right. Spinning the wheel of games. Well, I'm still waiting for somebody to say no. You got Survey Says. Survey Says is pretty easy. We surveyed 100 people. We're looking for the top answers on the board. So we asked 100 people, where might a school bus take students besides school?
Oh, like, could I say like a field trip?
Field trip, number one answer. You nailed it. There you go. 42 points for you. Sporting event, home, museum, zoo, or picnic. Okay.
Cool.
Number two, name a kind of place where people pretend to be paying attention.
School.
School is the number one answer. We're sticking with it. That's 2 in a row. Nicely done. Church, work meeting, movies, concert, or sporting event. I don't know why you would pretend to be paying attention.
Yeah, that's strange.
Concert or a movie, but I suppose if it's boring. All right, last one. This is one of my favorites. It's a fun one. Name something cats and men have in common.
Gosh, cats and men. I love this question, but
I know.
Oh, I've never thought about that. No, I don't know. What came to mind is kind of sad. I don't know. I don't agree with it, but like maybe like cold or distant.
Oh, that's in it. I'll give it to you. Finicky or stubborn is number 5.
Okay.
Love sleeping, number 1. Being
Oh.
lazy, sneaky, hairy, and they like petting. Both like
Oh my
petting
gosh,
for sure.
that's amazing.
All right. Well, you did it. 2 number 1 answers means you get a free 30-second commercial for yourself. I'll take care of the heavy lifting. You can find her on Instagram at the Playful Warrior, or theplayfulwarrior.com is the website. If you can remember, and I'll put a link in the show notes, it's /joy-freebie. And there's a special little treat there about an EFT tapping resource. Tell us about that, Kara.
Yeah, so EFT is emotional freedom techniques. This is a technique I'm certified in. So essentially, it is a way to balance your energy. So we tap on your energy meridians. It's almost like acupuncture without the needles. So this is great. Yes, exactly. So essentially, if you are having negative emotions coming up, this is a really great technique to do if you're feeling like not enough, you're worrying what people think of you, you have self-doubt. We literally bring those emotions up so we can release them, tap them away, and then we call in joy and confidence and playfulness and just like authentic self-expression and being you. And so I always get the feedback that people just feel so like liberated and free when they do this. So excited to gift it to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Anything else that we missed or you would like to share, ask, or gives for the audience? How can we help you?
Yeah, I would say, depending when this airs, I have a holiday special. If couples want to play, I facilitate couple sessions or friend sessions or one-on-one inner child sessions. I also have an 8-week program that is full of mindset and play called Thought Play, where you will get a play box in the mail with a playbook and really tap in and heal your inner child and do like deep mindset work around these limiting beliefs that are stopping us from fully expressing ourselves. And we just have so much fun and we literally play every session.
I want an inner child session and a play box for sure. I'll be checking that one out.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Kara, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was a ton of fun and great stuff unpacked there. If you want to learn more, check out Kara Latta at theplayfulwarrior.com. And I am Mike Montague with the Playful Humans. You can find us at playfulhumans.com. We have some play workshops. We got a community and of course the podcast. So click subscribe right now, wherever you are watching or listening to this one. Give us a thumbs up, share it with somebody else that needs to hear this message, or make a suggestion for future guests in the comments. I would love to hear it. See you next time.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
Go play, everybody.